Greetings, agents of Cobra Command. This is GI Joburg. My name is Steve. It's episode 341, Mutants Attack Springfield. Yes, we're taking a trip back to Springfield, somewhere in the United States. This time it's Springfield, Ohio, but Springfield exists, I believe, multiple times in many states, which is why it is the perfect, inconspicuous, insidious HQ of Cobra Command's domestic operation. Anyway, you don't have to listen to me ramble on my own. I'm joined as always by my partners in crime. It's Paul, Deadly Pencils.
Hey everybody.
And Rob.
How's it, Steve?
Oh, hey guys. How's it going?
Yes,
Just
gentlemen.
my lustrous hair.
We are going to talk about issue 309 of GI Joe, A Real American Hero, the skybound continuation of the IDW run, which was a continuation of the Marvel run. 309 issues, 4 decades at least. Yeah. This comic book is part of GI Joe lore since before I was even born.
Before you're even a twinkle in an eye.
Mm-hmm. And yet here we are, still talking about it as dirty old bastards. But we're going to talk about other things too. I think a subsidiary topic, because we are taking a trip back to Springfield, will be a slight dipping of our toes into some of our favorite Springfield moments, invasions or otherwise. Springfield has kind of been a catch-all name for Cobra's underground base, masquerading as a small town America location. So, I mean, it's been with GI Joe lore since issue 10, as far as I can recall. And there have been multiple visits to it, raids, fascinating stories, both even in all of comic book iterations and even the cartoons. But we're going to get into that. Gentlemen, how are we all? The last time we did this live, I had to dip out. I had some dope.
Oh, you said to run away. You're like,
I had the runs.
Yeah, actually, it was my turn this week for that.
Oh, dear.
Whoa.
Yeah, I have not had a fun week because of that, but otherwise everything
going around.
Good.
It even transmits between Australia and South Africa. Well, the Springboks did return home after their successful.
There we go. When Paul was, partying it up with the Springboks on the return.
Yeah, I blame the Springboks.
They brought the Australian bug with them that I had.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's good.
Yeah, but it has been quite unpleasant. Other than that, Rob?
Yeah, I've been pretty good. I'm back at home, as you can see from the wasteland behind me, instead of family photos of Stevens.
Family.
I'm back at home. It's interesting to be back at home. I'll get used to it eventually. The solitude was very nice. I enjoyed actually not having to. I don't know. Not talking to anyone at night. It's fantastic. You just kind of get home. You just kind of sit down. You just do your thing. But having people around you again, it's still nice. I mean, I'm glad I still have my grandmother. She's still with us. And long may that keep going on.
Long may she reign.
Hell yeah. Long reign. Yeah.
Right.
Stephen, what have you been up to? What is new for you? Hey.
Well, there was a toy market this weekend. It was yesterday. I do have some swag. I said we could start with that. Normally, we like to talk about new shit right at the end.
No, if you're mentioning you went there now, you don't hold back on us, please.
I won't hold back. Okay, I'm gonna make myself big. Greetings to the chat. Lovely to see some people in spite of our revised start time. We still have some stalwarts. Darren Cobb is in the chats. He's on the east coast of Australia as well. Mark van Leeuwen from the Netherlands. Joe Hunter 73 from the States. So you're up bright and early. Thank you, Joe. Alan Stroud from the UK. Did I get everyone? And I think there are a few other people watching that haven't chimed in on the chats just yet, but feel free to drop in and say "Yo, Joe" or
and props to Mark on those Dreadnought photos that you posted on Facebook the other day, man.
Fabulous stuff. Once again, so Mark van Leeuwen's cardboard dioramas are just such a phenomenal expression of creativity. He's created the Dreadnought sort of Everglade swamp forest with giant mangrove trees. Zartan Swampski is photographed with this cool like splash effect, all rendered in cardboard and done up with paints.
Oh,
Amazing.
hell yeah.
So
Incredible.
got 2-dimensionality and 3-dimensionality to it, in spite of the fact that it's all made out of cardboard. It's like a pop-up book. It's the best way I can explain it. It's a pop-up book diorama, fully painted, with depth, with that sort of parallax, like having a deep background and then some trees in the middle ground, and then the Zartan shack in the foreground with the
Incredible.
board
Don't ruin
with
it for everyone.
fans.
Hey, what can I say? I'm trying to paint the picture for the listeners who probably won't be able to easily see them. But yes, they are on Facebook. GI Joburg's Facebook group. If you check it out, you will scroll down and find the post, I hope. All right. I got a whole bunch of 90s Joes, as it turns out.
Ooh.
Okay. Anything
Battle
cool,
Core Metalhead.
Yes, I was going to
Terrific
ask. Anything
figure.
cool like Metalhead?
Yeah.
He's high on my hit list.
I picked up another Eco Warriors Deep Six because this one has a variant. Well, I think my first one was a variant, or it's just sun damaged. But the sun damage only affected the mask. This one has a very crystal blue mask, whereas the other one, my first one, was kind of greenish. I'm trying to dim my camera so it's anyway. Yeah. They're pretty much the same condition, except for that mask. I just thought, and I'm not going to pass up an opportunity to get one of these guys because they don't come up very often in Australia. The second wave of Eco Warriors are like hen's teeth. The Toxo Zombie, this guy, and Barbecue, you seldom see them. I had to get mine from the States. Initially.
Barbecue.
Got old Battle Core Dial Tone, who's got that weird sectoid-looking helmet, but without it, it is an unmasked, unberayed Dial Tone head. But I still don't think this is Dial Tone. Like, I feel like these Battle Core reversions should be their own characters. Maybe I need to come up with a custom file card.
Metalhead, very much Metalhead.
Darren Cobb, who seems to love writing out file cards, to create a new character for this guy. Try and offer some explanation as to why he's got that freaky, weird helmet. I mean, the lenses themselves look like maybe 90s cyclist, like velodrome cyclist shades. I don't know. I'm trying to spin a yarn here. You never can have too many night vultures. They are an army builder as far as I'm concerned. They're cool to have. And last but certainly not least, anyone who recalls our chat ages ago, our deep dive into the core, might recall us talking about Lars Laser as one of the coolest sculpts of the later core O-ring era. To paint the picture for anyone listening, he's basically got like an eel's helmet. By the looks of it.
Yeah.
The rest of him is cool, like dark grays, greens and blacks with a few touches of silver. He's like just a faceless dude, but like you wonder, like, is this really the core? Because this is some quality sculpting, and it feels good. Feels like a
probably fit in with Halo. It's very very cool. Could probably be in the Halo games.
I remember thinking at the time that he looked like there was a series of like choose your own adventure-ish books called Interplanetary Spy. They were more graphic than text-based. Like it was like a comic book that was also choose your own adventure, just in black and white, pencils and inks, no colors. But like the Interplanetary Spy protagonist that you played as kind of looked like this guy, like Lars Laser. So anyone, like maybe the two people listening to this who know those Interplanetary Spy books, might conjure up images of what this guy
hit us up in the comments.
Like. Yeah, please. Let me know that I'm not speaking into an echo chamber, a giant void. That's it. I got another core, but he's an old guy. I mean, Tony Tanner, but like in his original deco, which I've been hankering for because I learned not too long ago that Tony Tanner was originally meant to be a South African on his,
Tony Tanner.
his
yes.
original bio card or dossier. They call them dossiers in the core.
Dossiers.
So I just had to have him, you know.
Dossier.
Docket.
Oh,
Say.
Alan Stroud, who is an avid customizer, did this to his Deep 6 version 2, which is the sort of the deep sea diver version. He modded the helmet to make it a clear plate as opposed to the solid orange piece. That's a mod that's been staring us all in the face. I'm glad you took the plunge and did it. I'd be delighted to see the results. Please message me. But yeah, I've seen it done before and it looks damn good. I can't bring myself to cut up old action figures. I'm weak. I'm weak like that.
You have enough of them at this point. Come on. If you have more than one of something, you might as well start chopping them up.
I guess my imagination can fill in the blanks. I'm okay with it. But yeah, maybe if I use that version in photography or play motion, I'd want to be able to see his face. Because what's the point of having a removable helmet if you can't put it on and still have some character?
Yeah,
this is true of a lot of like late 90s Joes. I'm looking at Countdown. I'm looking at Alley Viper. You know, you drop the shield and all of a sudden you see no flesh.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm on the party that prefers having the Alley Viper's face covered fully.
Okay, and Countdown. Like I suppose Countdown's visor is the silver, like polarized, anti-glare, reflective surface.
So I just prefer that. I know as a kid it offered a lot of mystery to the figures, so it added something. I don't know.
But with Deep Six,
it's something
egregious because it's an orange helmet and an orange lens. Like if they'd hit that with a bit of paint, that would have made all the difference. Maybe a blue or a silver.
Even silver would work because if you think about it, if you're submerged underwater and you have got that faceplate, the faceplates tend to silver up anyway. They look silver underwater. You could also get away.
Yeah, that would actually been really cool. That's a missed opportunity.
Stuck in Carbonite says, "Good morning, gentlemen." Yojo, hello, Stuck. I hope you get unstuck, brother. Hibernation sickness. It's no joke. Sad monkey, Yojo. Thanks, guys.
This is not
chiming in.
This is not new. This kit is about like 2 years old, but I actually pulled it out and built it this weekend, or did a dry fit. This is from a line called Maschinen Krieger. And I love these because they have a very like sort of, let's call it a real world kind of approach to the sci-fi in its universe, and they're designed by a guy called Ko Yokoyama. And these come from the 80s actually. I mean, they were all scratch built from like model planes and helicopters and whatever else's, and have over the years turned into a model line with quite an extensive lore. And this is 1 to 20th scale, so it's just close enough. It's close enough, I would say, to GI Joe in terms of size.
Is a human supposed to fit inside it?
A human does fit inside it. I just want to just be careful with when I take off the lid.
And is the color supposed to be silver? Or is that a sort of a base color that you're then going to?
That's a base color.
Okay.
So I just haven't put the head inside.
Something very old school, like 1950s, about an all silver robot.
I mean, listen, you can do it. You're inspired to be creative with
Will
these.
Robinson.
You got your guy's head in there, so you can actually have the lid opened. You can see the head, and the head is about GI Joe size. So,
so the robot itself is just a little bit bigger than a human. Like he's sitting in there controlling it.
Yeah. So
what is the
technically
mecha?
this is battle armor.
What is it called? What is this? Is it an anime?
This whole thing is called Maschinen Krieger, or MAK, or MAK, as it's also known, or Sci-Fi in 3D. SF3D, and these things are called SAFs, super armored fighting suits. Yeah. So, and I've got another one as well called a Lunar Gans, which is basically just Space Goose. Anyway, but this looks really, or Space Swan actually. But this thing is so cool, and yeah, I'd love to see them. I'd love to see a 1 to 18 scale one of these, and pop a GI Joe in. And if you guys wanted to customize them, you could of course use a spare modern era head and pop it in there, and bang, you've got a GI Joe, and you can paint it up in GI Joe colors and print out some Cobra decals or GI Joe decals or something. But yeah,
Finally
this
give
is.
Deep Six some articulation.
But yeah, this is about I would say the newest thing for me right now because I just built this up. So
I neglected to mention, or I put him on my lap and he just fell to the floor. I got
no.
Law. Battle
What
Core
is it good
Law.
for?
Are you guys familiar with this at all?
Is this where he tries
Because
to look like a criminal?
He looks like
because
a
I've gone on
cyber
Yojo a
ninja.
lot, I do recognize it, but he's not. When I look at him,
I
don't think of
recognize him.
as Law.
He is interesting. I also on my list, not like at the top, but on my list because he's just unusual and unique.
So
And
strange.
Rob mentioned it, Cyber Ninja. He would be such a good like base if you wanted to make like a vintage O-ring style cyborg from Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Ninja from
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid.
Grey Fox, yeah.
Yeah,
Grey
it's called
Fox.
Ninja.
He's called
Yeah.
Ninja.
Well,
Ninja.
yes.
it's still referred to as the Cyborg Ninja because there was
right.
one that wasn't. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, man, it's a strange look for Law. Can't even bring myself to read the file card. Like, this absolutely needs to be a new character. And it was Cliff, I believe, who longtime GI Joburg fan and friend, did a play motion using this guy as just a sort of a cybernetic samurai. And that absolutely has stuck for me. I can't shake it. At least I think it was Cliff. I could be mistaken. If I have missed, or if I've forgotten who contributed that play motion, please correct me. Or if it is you, Cliff, tell me, yo,
like
it was me. You got it right, Steve. Well done. Your adult mind.
Alan Stroud,
gets stuff right
little
from time to
magnets.
time.
Alan Stroud's little magnet inside of top of Paul's SAF suit, and then a GI Joe head in there would look great. Yeah, totally, man. That's what I was thinking of. I was lovingly donated a few resin GI Joe heads. Then I might put one of those in one of them. So
What character heads are we talking here?
Yeah, it's Lady J. It's one of them. I think the other one is Mercer. I need to check again. Oh, and there was a funny one as well, which is Brock Sampson from Venture Bros. And yeah, but those are the only ones I can think of. But those were courtesy of Jim Godfrey a while ago. So
sweet.
If you want to see what could happen with
Jimmy. Shall we move on, gents? Unless there's anything anyone else wants to talk about under the banner of new shit.
I ain't got no new shit. I'm enjoying the shit I got.
Nice one, brother. So Springfield. It means different things to different GI Joe fans. Hopefully, most GI Joe fans have some sense of what Springfield is.
What is Springfield?
It's a fake town. It's a front.
Oh, it's a front.
A veneer.
Many fronts. Many fronts.
Underneath the arcade, they have poison gas. No, it's under the pizzeria. I don't know.
Poison gas.
But without giving a full and comprehensive history of Springfield in the lore, just as a kind of a taster, I want everyone in the chats, perhaps, and the YouTube gents and myself to all sound off about our favorite instances where plot revolved around Springfield. Who should kick it off here?
Interesting theory. I feel
Who's
like Paul's busy drawing something there.
No, so I am.
Very busy.
I am, but it's for my quick fire topic that might come later.
Whoa!
Well, let's divert slightly and give people in the chats a chance to maybe type in their responses. And I'm going to throw in a quick fire topic of my own.
Quick time event.
Oh.
This past week, some new deleted audio from GI Joe the movie surfaced. And basically, just
Duke didn't die in a coma.
Yeah, exactly. The original audio, without the ADR of "he's gone into a coma," off camera. It's just a bunch of. I mean, anyone who's curious, check the video description in the YouTube version of this, and you will find a link to Buzz Dixon actually talking about this stuff, and then an actual clip of what went down in the original cut. What was missing from that, and what is in the storyboard, not the storyboard, the script. It wasn't storyboarded, famously. Is that this ridiculous science fiction-y funeral for Duke, where he's in a hovering coffin. Beachhead and Hawk fire their laser pistols underneath the coffin, and then all the other Joes create a crisscross of like sustained laser fire with their sidearms, and the coffin falls through this laser net and vaporizes. So just to hammer home,
Wow,
the fact that
cocaine
Duke
was better in the 80s. Gee.
You have to. You really
Duke
have to
is
be sure
dead.
he's dead. Like he's gone.
He's vaporized to smoke. I guess the question I'm going to ask the both of you and anyone else wanting to chime in is: can you envision a Sunbow cartoon era without Duke? What would GI Joe be like if Duke had I can't even say stayed dead, but in one
shuffled off the mortal coil.
In one, well, no, he didn't die, so he didn't stay dead. There's no finality.
Well, he didn't stay dead, but it's not like he was around all the time anyway. I mean, after that, didn't we transitioned more into other groups of characters? So I mean, he was around, but I mean, eventually, I mean, new characters became more bossy than he was, I feel.
Okay. Run with that, Rob. So in the Deke era, with no Duke.
Yeah, you kind of have Flint come up. I mean, maybe Hawk can take a more prominent role because Hawk was around, but I feel like some episodes he wasn't in there. I mean, it really was Duke's show. Yeah, I feel like Flint could have moved up. I mean, even Lady J. I mean, Lady J could have been more of a commanding presence on the team. Probably would have been really good options.
Shipwreck, bro.
And he could
have been Shipwreck.
Okay, yeah, but he's like he's the hothead. You can't put him in charge.
I imagine it just would have
does his own thing.
I mean, just to go with the cartoon and the logic of the cartoon, I imagine it would have been Sergeant Slaughter. He would have like taken over the
Joe. You could have done that, yeah.
The theme song would have changed to Sergeant Slaughter and the GI Joes. You know, like something
heroes.
You know,
would they have done that though? Because I mean, he's a licensed character. You know, like he's a big part of GI Joe, but he's a licensed likeness of a real person. So I don't know would you really put him in charge of your entire toy line?
Well, they did that with like Rambo. So. I mean, they had the
but then the whole premise is it's Rambo is the main character. Like GI Joe, the main character is the team of GI Joe. So I don't know if you can kind of just put a licensed guy as your main character and the rest of GI Joe going forward. I think the show would have been fine. Because I mean, as Chuck says, in the interview, he's like, if he felt that the audience that was watching GI Joe was perhaps a bit more mature, and they kind of understood what they were watching. You know, yes, it was kind of like dumbed down war, but I mean, the idea that these are two factions fighting each other, people will inevitably die, and it can happen, and it should happen, which is probably why he was pushing for it so much, and. Because they were phasing those figures out, it was possible to do that. So I think it would have been fine. The show would have been maybe better for it going forward.
Would you envision that they wouldn't try some cockamamie way of resurrecting him?
No, I mean, especially after that description of that funeral scene, like there's no coming back from that. He's been entirely vaporized.
He's double dead.
Well, I found interesting.
Like Transformers, where through the power of the Matrix,
robot,
Optimus Prime's body could be resurrected.
Yeah, but I still find it fascinating that from the interview, Chuck was saying it was them who came up with their concept of killing off a character first, and then Transformers ran with it. They were like, "Oh, let's kill someone on our team too," but unfortunately, Transformers came out first, and then that kind of like Hasbro was like, "Oh, we can't do this now." But at the same time, Transformers still stuck with that death, didn't they, for quite some time? In their own.
The very next year, Prime was back. Season 3 of the cartoon, they resurrected Prime.
Oh, okay. I thought it went on for longer. I always thought Hot Rod was like the new leader for at least a long while, and eventually
for like 4 episodes.
Okay, so it's not as. But I mean, it wasn't like years. It wasn't like season 4, 5, 6, and then he comes back eventually. Okay, I thought they kind of stuck with the ramifications of their choices for longer.
It's funny, like, because
I
when
don't
you
equate Duke with Prime though. Prime is just too on a pedestal. Duke in a character ensemble like GI Joe, Duke is easily just one of the boys. He's got his
Well, that's
Yeah.
what Chuck
fans.
Dixon was saying. You know, we as fans of JoJo would be probably more accepting because he is just one of many characters that is on the screen. There isn't like the hero protagonist, which with Transformers it is Optimus.
Yeah, he's so
Yeah.
far ahead of all the rest in terms of popularity. Whereas Duke, I wouldn't even say he's number one. That would be Snake Eyes for the heroes.
Yeah, well, for the comic heroes, I mean, for the cartoon, I suppose Duke would actually be further up there, but you could still kill him off if you wanted to, because you'd still have so many other.
I would
speaking
argue
characters.
that even if you haven't ever read a single GI Joe comic book, you could still say that Snake Eyes is number one, just based on how overexposed he is, how cool he is. And I know it's popular to kind of jump off the Snake Eyes popularity bandwagon these days.
Yeah, for sure.
But like
Mm.
in terms of just picking out my favorite 10 GI Joe figures, he's always going to be in there. You can't ignore it. It's the essential enigmatic ninja with
Yeah, well, I
an
mean, but
Uzi.
yeah, if you've been exposed to the toys or the comics, for sure. But I feel like if your only exposure was the cartoons, but then you wouldn't be that important to you. But then at the same time, it's like you will be multiple exposures to these things as you're going through. That's the whole obviously marketing campaign: is hit you on the TVs, hit you in the aisles, and hit you in the bedroom. I mean, in the
In the bedroom.
or wherever you're reading your comics in the
People
bathroom.
are quick to
Oh,
downplay
Snake
Snake
Eyes.
Eyes. We're on a tangent now, but I want to address this because it has
Yeah,
come
for
up
sure.
before. People are quick to diminish Snake Eyes' cartoon involvement, but like
100%.
he did have like as much as possible with a character that can't talk, signature moments.
Yeah,
and
like when he
appearances.
cross-dressed.
Yeah, his
That's
Spock
probably
moments.
that's the one moment that I remember from the entire show is when he was cross-dressing and just
Well, look, Duke
being
gets
in
captured. Who gets
disguise.
captured alongside him? Snake Eyes. So they can pit each other up against each other in the arena of sport.
Arena of
Shipwreck
Sport.
is infiltrating Enterprise City in the sort of the Cobra underhalls. Who goes along with him? It's Snake Eyes. So
But those are
while
all
he
in the
might not be a
miniseries, aren't
starring
they?
character, his popularity ensured that he was always in the mix. And anytime he ever had anything to do on screen, you kind of tend to take notice. You're like, yeah, he just looks like no other Joe in the team.
Leatherneck.
So I'm going to give him my full and undivided attention.
Leatherneck is all worried about his prostate, and who goes with him to the doctor? Snake Eyes.
Snake Eyes,
All
for
right,
sure.
all right.
He's the
But
silent
actually, a
companion.
thought that I had, it was on Friday night. I was retransforming my, those cool Studio Series G1 Transformers. I was retransforming Jazz and Trax and what's the other cool one? Oh, Wheeljack. And
Did you
I was
take
thinking
Jazz
about
and like go like this, like take his legs and take his arms and go?
no, I didn't Michael Bay Jazz. Yeah. But when I was like transforming them, I was talking to Celia about the Transformers movie. That kind of comes up sometimes, conversation with that kind of thing. And it did make me think of, Duke's death in GI Joe, and you had shared this video with us, so it was kind of in my brain. And I thought, well, I think the reason that Optimus Prime had such a strong impact is that the Transformers leadership isn't very much like a triangle. It's Optimus Prime at the top, and then a
there's
block
like a pole.
behind it,
He's at the top of
underneath
the
it.
pole, and everyone else.
Yeah,
is
there's no like second in command feeling that you get from Transformers. You don't get this whole like, oh, if Optimus Prime dies, then this cool character can take over, and like they try to convince us that it should be Ultra Magnus, and it's like, whereas in GI Joe, you get that.
So they did
feeling
debunk
where
that in the film already.
Yeah.
He's got the false ascendant to the throne.
Exactly. And in GI Joe, you do get that feeling because, as you guys mentioned earlier, and as Buzz Dixon mentioned, it's a war book. It's about war, and people die in wars, and it's kind of understandable that if a character like Duke dies, that is part of it. Like the whole military funeral, sort of procession, that is a well-known kind of thing within our culture, especially in the era that we live in. I mean, Americans are obviously much closer to it than we are because, we have experienced a lot of that through film and whatever. So I feel, even though it's like lasers and stuff, it still would have been done in that kind of military procession way. And I'd feel that younger viewers at the time would have been like, okay, he's an army man. Army men die, like that is where that's why I think GI Joe could have gotten away with it, definitely. Whereas in Transformers, it really was, oh no, they killed Dad, like who's going to be the leader of the Transformers? And they know nobody can be the leader of the Transformers because everybody else other than Optimus Prime is you're really cool but mostly drunk uncle, so. Like,
I've got another interesting point that I'd like to raise, and it's Darren Cobb who chucked this one in there. They even said at the end of the Transformers film that Prime would be back. Now, I'm wondering if that was in the theatrical release, or if that was like a oh shit moment, and they were like, okay, before we put this on VHS, let's get that voice actor in to just assure everyone, don't worry, Prime's coming back, because it felt like a pretty final decision in the theatrical release. And then as the story goes, there was a huge outcry. Parents wanted to sue Hasbro for putting them through this emotional trauma, or putting their kids through the emotional trauma, and then the parents having to assuage their little Timmies that Prime wasn't actually dead. So I wonder if that was a kind of a revision, a running change. They added the voiceover, because it is just that. It's like, or is it a bar of text and a voiceover? But it seems like something that would be pretty easy to add to a VHS. But interesting. Anyway, Leatherneck apparently wouldn't take Snake Eyes to the doctor. It would be Wetsuit. Paul?
Yeah.
Did you see Mark's comment?
Yeah, but I still think it would be Snake Eyes because Snake Eyes is just so great. Snake Eyes would be like. And Leatherneck would be like, you know what it is? It's Snake Eyes is all like,
And let the record show that in record time, Darren Cobb has just private messaged me a file card for a new character called Sectoid. Cool. And it is a fully written file card. It's not just a, specialty and then rank, etc. He's written the prose as well. God. Should I read it out?
Midlife Crisis Dark Tone is awesome.
I'll give you the clip notes. Anyway, Sectoid is the younger brother of G.I. Joe's Dial Tone. Like his brother, he went into telecommunications, but unlike his brother, he went into digital over analog. Nice. He's an expert at creating digital composites and false information to trick and deceive the forces of Cobra. On the battlefield, his brotherly competitivity with Dial Tone often leads them to taking risks, wanting to outdo each other. Well, I do like the code name because it does make his helmet make a little bit more sense.
Yeah,
but man, that's some.
That's
very
why he looks similar to
Darren.
Dial Tone, but he isn't exactly the same. There's a slight difference there. But yeah, he doesn't look like Dial Tone. But he looks like he could.
He does. Yeah. Well, yeah. He's.
He could be the younger brother of Dalton, I reckon. That makes sense to me. There we go.
That's the difference between 1985 sculpting and 1993 sculpting.
Yeah. Les Enfants, they're just doing whatever they want. Just...
Kept getting better in one respect. I mean, look, the sculpts in the 90s were still pretty damn good, and they feel hardy. Like, they feel a little bit more durable than their 80s compatriots. Where you really start to lose out is the paint operations. Just far fewer little details being picked up.
Yeah, there's less effort going on there.
It's budget. G.I. Joe is getting a smaller slice of the pie. Any hooch, gents, we've sat on it long enough. We have
been sitting on it. We have so many responses, and Mark earlier said, "Yep, that's the one I'm going with." Actually, there's no place like Springfield.
Tell us a bit about it.
Well, so the episode begins. It's a two-parter, so it's the end of.
Wait, hold on. Are you gonna take my whole moment here?
Oh,
Oh, are you also
You guys
doing
can
There's No
fight.
Place Like Springfield?
Literally the only thing I'm going to talk about when it comes to Springfield. Couldn't give a
Oh
shit
no,
about
then
Sonic's appearances.
well, I'll start us off. Okay, so it features
Yeah.
Shipwreck, and he's going on to Cobra Island with the I think is it Lady J? Pretty sure it is. She's got the
It is
no,
Lady J, yeah.
it is Lady J.
It is Lady J.
So they go on the island. They're there to find some sort of scientist dude, and he does something to Shipwreck's brain, and then I think then
The neural transmitter, bro. It's like,
is that what it's
Put it on
called?
the head.
Okay, I
Yes.
didn't get the details. I was just like, oh, I'm too much into the emotions of the scene, and then we flash forward, and we apparently flash forward, and Shipwreck is in Springfield, and he's an old
Yes.
man, and he has a wife and a kid. What is he doing in
yeah, and
Springfield?
he's married
for?
tomorrow, bro. Like,
Yeah,
which is like pretty cool because you're like sitting there, and if you've been like a long time fan of this, you kind of know that she can only breathe in water, that she can't like exist out of water. So you're like in the back of your head, you're like, oh, like how is she like breathing? How's she
and
breathing?
how is she
then
not blue again?
it's later revealed that the
Jeez.
last thing that Doc did before they disbanded the GI Joe team was make it that she could breathe outside of water, and then lo and behold, Doc appears and he's
That's so nice of him. And then he's like,
It's like-
I'm actually working in the town as well. Don't worry, I'm
Yes.
your best friend. But thankfully,
Like
the
I
episode
couldn't have
doesn't-
done it outside of GI Joe because medical aid.
Exactly. He needs
Like-
that government funding to be able to research these sorts of things. A one-of-a-kind treatment for one person that's never going to be used by anyone else in the history of the world ever again.
Exactly.
But thankfully, they don't string us along for too long. We kind of like, it seems Shipwreck's having episodes where he's kind of like having flashes and stuff. And very soon we do, I mean, it is revealed to us, the audience, that he isn't, either it isn't the future or there's something nefarious going on in the place
Something's
that he's
off.
in now.
Yeah.
Something is
Yeah.
off. It's not exactly as good as it appears to be.
I mean,
But he
did he
continues to
really
have-
dive tackle Cobra Commander? And
I think I
Like-
think he did. I feel like
yes,
he did.
and did they really take out what was now being called in the show Temple Alpha, which I love the concept of, by the way. Like that's the whole thing. Like Shipwreck freaking did everything. He's like
Yeah,
the guy.
he was the hero.
like
He was the
dude.
guy who got it all done.
And then so what happens, man? Like Shipwreck starts running into friends of his, like old GI Joe members and whatever's. What happens, Rob? Like quickly, just for the brief sign up. The brief sign up.
So by the end of the first episode, he's kind of like he's really losing his shit. He kind of sees that, what are they called, synthoids? Like people start
Yes.
melting and start dying around him. He kind of ends up in prison, and he is then introduced to what appears to be some sort of resistance group or something.
Yeah,
But he's not sure. Like, what are you guys doing here?
yeah, he's like assimilated into some big synthoid ball because Cobra keeps kidnapping him. They keep like
Yes.
waiting for him to sleep, and then they like use a lamp, which has got some kind of magical scientific, I don't know, alpha wave generating properties that knock him the hell out. Then he goes through a very elaborate trip to a surgical ward via a car wash. And then they're trying to get this secret code word because that's the whole crux of it, right? This doctor, whose name it just left my brain now. This doctor
God.
was what is that?
I said, oh God, I also forgot it.
Oh, okay. It's not Doctor. Oh God. Anyway, this doctor uses a secret code phrase to extract the data from Shipwreck's memory, or it's there to extract the data from Shipwreck's memory. And why is
talking
this
about
thing so,
Cadet
like, crucial?
Deming?
No, not yet. We're getting to the Cadet
No,
Deming
we're not there.
scene.
You're talking about the
But
old
the
man.
whole thing is like this
Right.
thing takes water and turns it into a bomb, and
And that's what Cobra
Yeah.
wants.
that's
Mulaney.
what Cobra wants, and that's why they keep
Says
trying to.
Mark.
Mulaney, thank you, like the comedian. Well, comedian.
Yeah, Mark.
I didn't say that. Anyway, so it's this whole elaborate ploy. And Rob, why is this like one of your favorite like Springfield stories?
Well, Visit to Springfield. Well, because it just gets so weird. I mean, we had that really
Mhm.
cool like alternate reality episode where they kind of visited another version of Earth, and you kind of get to see like how things would have turned out if Cobra had been in charge. And this is just cool because it kind of, the whole time you're there, you don't know if it is true or not, like what's going on. Like, is he going crazy? Is he not going crazy? And especially the second episode, where they kind of like really expose him to like weird shit. There's a really long sequence where he's kind of on the operating bed, and you kind of get these really cool, well animated sequences of like ghosts and weird flashing lights. And now they're really amping up. And it's so well animated, and it's just a cool sequence of them like really trying hard to get this information out of him. And also it's very hard hitting, because he kind of really does come to believe that this is his family, and when they do die, it kind of really hits him really hard, and I think it takes him a while to kind of recover from this episode.
I think that's definitely something that happens from that. For me, okay, so for me, this is my favorite Springfield story, and the one I care about the most, because it's one of the very early Sunbow cartoons episodes of the cartoons I ever watched, because it's on the videotape, on the videotapes that I have. And it was quite like, whereas a lot of the GI Joe plots on the cartoons of the cartoons that I had were very like, okay, mind you, there was Captors of Cobra, and then there's Order Cobra as well. Those had very straightforward, these are the stakes, those are the stakes. This was the closest, I think, as a child I'd ever got into, like, let's call it a psychological thriller. And that always stuck to me, like how, we were played with, how I wasn't thinking about it consciously as like a 9-year-old or 8-year-old, whatever's looking at this going, wow, I feel like I'm being played with. But I knew that I was being messed with, and I was being messed with in a way that was different to like how other cartoons had done it. A lot of cartoons like to set up a red herring, then pull out the rug from underneath you, and it's like, ho, it was this and that the whole time. But this really messed with you, because you know that it's a lie, but then at the same time you're trying to figure out like, what is like, how is it being done to him, and like, and the whole setup of having that town being Springfield, and it's just like, it was nuts. And I just remembered that kind of stuck with me for a very, very long time. And it also is how I think it's where I started liking Shipwreck, because as a kid, and I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, as a kid, Shipwreck used to annoy me because he was always goofing off and stuff. And as a kid, I was always like, yeah, you're in the military, man, you can't like figure out, but like now I'm all like, yeah, Shipwreck's cool, kind of vibe. But yeah, that's why Springfield in the animated series is such a big thing for me.
And also you don't get many like emotionally driven episodes, because yes, it's a cool big plot, but it is very much playing on his emotions, and you kind of get to see like his reactions to kind of all the stuff that goes on about him. And it's cool that they kind of draw back to Mara from the previous episode. They kind of like bring her back. It's not just a random girl that he kind of meets again. They kind of get their own little bit of continuity going there, which I think is cool, and it rewards you for having watched the entire first season. You're like, oh yeah, I remember that girl. She's from that other episode.
And I really hope somebody from Super 7, or somebody who's close to people at Super 7, is listening to this episode right now and is going to hear what I say here. Please, for us, please make a No Place Like Springfield set of figures in your new O-ring.
That would be amazing.
Because we need a Dennings. We need Nurse Dennings in Nurse outfit. We need her in the
Cadet
yes, please.
Demmings.
Cadet Demmings. But for me, it's Nurse Demmings, bro. We need her in her blue Crimson Guard outfit, because that is super cool, because she's a cadet that's in training. We need a half melted synthoid something, or some kind of synthoid thing to put a GI Joe body into, so it can look like they're melting synthoids. We need Mara. We need these toys, man. They're super cool.
Would you want Mara in her like cured wife of Shipwreck, post-war, or would you like her in a Cobra wetsuit with blue skin and gills?
I want them all.
He wants both.
I want them all. I want them all.
But he wants this set first, because it means so much. It is one of those kind of stories that kind of still stands out for you, because it means something,
I mentioned this before, but a personal anecdote on this was that before I saw this cartoon, I had on TCM seen the film that it's based upon, called 36 Hours, starring James
Oh,
Garner,
cool.
where
Ah,
this guy wakes up in a US Army hospital after the conclusion of World War II, and he's being convinced that, oh, we won, etc. You know, they've furnished the whole base with paraphernalia to support the fact that the Allies won. But no, actually, the Nazis, it's still during the war, and the Nazis are trying to pump him for information and get him to trip up.
So cool.
Terrific film.
There's some of
Yeah,
the
I saw it.
coolest plots when you have this sort of story, because it really does keep you on your toes, because you constantly, if it's done right, and it's really cool that a cartoon did it right.
Yeah.
And
I'd say.
before Super 7 run away, I'd settle for a cardboard backdrop, but a plastic couch for Shipwreck, because that backdrop with the 2 muskets and all of the naval
house.
paraphernalia.
Amazing.
Oh, it's rad, man.
He
It's
falls
like
asleep
those
like
things-
just on the chair, if I recall correctly.
Yes, yeah.
And it's the light
Mm.
that I don't know, makes him pass out. Am I correct?
Yeah, it gets off
Remember
that
correctly?
like alpha wave
Pulsar
stimulation
lights,
thing.
And
yeah.
Polly screws up the whole charade, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, because Polly was like
Yeah.
hanging out with Cobra Commander the whole time, and then eventually gets out, and that's how he gets
I
saved by
also
Polly.
I didn't rewatch it to prepare for this topic.
No,
because
you have
I
to
knew
watch your
what I was
own
thinking,
thing,
but I
or
seem
read
to
your own
recall
thing.
I'm blanking on his name. Basically, Shipwreck's voice actor, he really
Mm.
goes hell for leather.
Yes.
Like,
Oh,
no, because he's surrounded by his comrades, and they're all
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all
and they're all
melting away.
turning to gloop around him, and he's like, "No, Scarlet, not you too." It's harrowing stuff for a
He
kid's
goes
cartoon.
to Bruce Campbell,
It's
bro.
hectic.
It's awesome.
It really is hectic, and which is so cool, because it's obviously it's a big plot by Cobra to get this stuff so they can create bombs, but like
Mm.
it's just done in a
Wow.
much less cartoony way than it usually is. Setting up these big things. There's 5 locations they all have to go visit to be able to stop the events from unfolding. It's just
Yeah.
it felt more personal,
It's
and
local, bro.
it's a very smart story.
Is it the only cartoon episode in the Sunbow era, anyway, set in Springfield?
Ooh, that I don't know. I
I
don't know
I
cartoons
seem
is
to
what it's
think that-
called does. I feel like they
I
must
seem
have
to
gone
feel
back
that there's
there.
another one.
Okay.
Isn't it the one? Wait, is the one on the ranch? That's a different Springfield, or is that?
Yeah.
Isn't there like one where they kind of like set up a whole ranch? And it's like, we are definitely ranch hands. We're not a secret cover for a Cobra base.
Well, there is the
Mm.
whole.
Is the one with Wild Bill? I think.
Well, we watched that one where when Scarlet goes and kicks ass, and she goes and beats up a few Cobra.
Yeah, I think that's the one I'm
officers
talking
working in-
about. Yeah, the
Cobra
ranch.
stops
Yeah,
the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, we visit that place because they got the whole underground arcade bar kind of thing, and they working out, and they had the whole
Oh.
vibe going there. I recall that
Wait.
being in Springfield.
Maybe
You're
that
confusing
isn't
that
the
with
one
the
I'm thinking of.
Viper. The Viper
Yes.
is coming. Where they've got like a rec
I think
center,
that's-
but that's under the Arctic, I think. Hey guys,
I think we're all confusing.
we are
but, like,
clearly
anyway,
amateur hour right now. Anyone in
Steven,
the comments who is a
Please
bigger
fix us.
cartoon aficionado than we are, please throw us a lifeline, because we
Please
are
do it.
floundering.
We need a
Um,
lifeline. We need a dock.
I'm glad you guys raised that
In a mainframe.
cartoon episode primarily because it is the springboard for my favorite Springfield story, which takes
Ooh.
place in issue 7 of Tom Shirley's and John Barber's Transformers vs. GI Joe by IDW.
Wow.
Oh boy, this
This
issue
is unexpected.
messed me up, guys. Well, I think I reread it this afternoon, and I think it's still my favorite Scarlet story ever produced. It's an absolute left turn for this series of books, and is so deep cut that it is almost like if you do not have a very deep fan knowledge of Transformers or GI Joe, or preferably both, so much of this would just sail plainly over your head. I think it's absolutely impenetrable for anyone to read it if they don't have obscene amounts of like nerdy fan knowledge of these laws.
This is amazing. Like he sets up this whole series, like, "Oh, guys, come read Transformers vs. GI Joe," and then by the end, he's like, "I'm going to show you how well I know these series."
It's unrecognizable. Every issue of the 12-issue book set of Transformers vs. GI Joe has a synopsis. This one starts with the story so far. There is no GI Joe. The Transformers are a myth. It was all lies. This issue, very subversive, because it all deals with mind control and erasing memories. But the cliff notes of it, I guess, Scarlet is all the Joes and a lot of the Transformers have had their minds wiped by Mind Wipe, one of the headmaster Decepticons. They are now all living. The Joes are living as civilians. The Transformers are in their car modes, and they think they're cars. They're non-sentient. They are all operating as Porsches and fire trucks.
I'm a Honda.
Yeah, exactly. And they are living in a town called Springfield. However, Springfield is filled with synthetic beings posing as Scarlet's family, husband, son, daughter. And Springfield itself is set on the back of Scorponok. So a city-sized Decepticon holds the entire city limits of Springfield on it.
That's so cool.
What a fascinating read. Oh my goodness. So they drive the Autobots through Springfield, up Scorponok's tail, and pop out through the stinger, while Scarlet goes full Ninja Force mode and takes out Dr. Mindelbinder, Mindbender, basically.
Mindelbinder.
Subjects him to the brainwave scanner and thrusts a katana through his heart. Nice. And then does battle with herself in a kind of a dream state. It's highly subversive, and the most horrifying moment of it all is when Scarlet, she's the only Joe who has effectively defeated this brainwashing. She's self-aware. She hasn't drunk the Kool-Aid. So she convinces everyone that she is on the level, that she has been successfully brainwashed, and bides her time for her opportunity to slit her husband's throat and set fire to her 2 children in a burning house.
That's how you do it.
That's
Not the way Scarlet Witch does it. That's how you do it.
There's a very touching moment in this book where she's at a party with all her sort of work colleagues. They're all actually Joes, but they've all been brainwashed and they have drunk the Kool-Aid. But Scarlet is able to get them, I don't know, to get them to shake it off. And she starts with Mutt.
Shake it off.
Junkyard is kind of skulking around. Junkyard hasn't been brainwashed. He's a dog. No one suspects a dog. But she gets Junkyard to follow Mutt home. Mutt tries to like beat the dog off with an issue of the comic book.
Beat the dog up.
Yeah. And then Junk jumps on him. And in this beautiful series of panels, you've got a dog leaping at you. You're the POV of Mutt. This dog's looking ferocious. It starts licking him. And all of a sudden, you have this break the fourth wall moment, this flashback of Mutt as a puppy. Oh, sorry, Junkyard as a puppy in the arms of Mutt, and Mutt's in his classic GI Joe outfit. So we're catching a glimpse of his subtext, of his memory being unlocked. He's remembering holding this dog when it was just a wee pup, and him being an actual GI Joe, and that being like the trigger. Anyway, I can't express enough love for this issue, but once again, it's one of those, if you know, you know. I don't think you can adequately enjoy it to the same extent if you're getting it out of context. So I've just spoiled it for anyone who isn't planning on.
Oh, you ruined it. Well, the concept of brainwashing, and it's happened before, and it's in the not the middle, but it's near the end of the series, and I think you understand the conceit as you're going into it. So you kind of have to.
It was an absolute left turn to this series. So you start reading this issue and you're like immediately like, whoa, what has happened here? This isn't where we left our characters. Something has happened between issue 6 and issue 7 to really screw things up. Yeah. When
It's a great way to kind of like jumble things up. You know, it's like you get to issue 6, like things are a certain way. And then issue 7 comes along, and then you from 8 onwards you can have a completely different setup, or you can kind of have moved things forward dramatically to kind of get the story to keep going, or to kind of like keep things interesting for the reader.
And it
I should really reread these.
Untainted as my favorite Scarlet story of all time.
That's wild. Whoa.
Yeah,
because Stephen hasn't had a chance to talk on them more recently.
I haven't had a chance
all
to
know how
shit
much
all
he
over this
hates
comic book.
superhero Scarlet. He's like, ew, what's she
Nah,
doing?
look,
She's
my,
not, if she
my
isn't killing her
feelings on
husband
the
and
current
kids, this
Scarlet-
isn't my Scarlet.
My feelings on the current Scarlet miniseries are mixed, and they've become more muddled as it's gone on. And so me being absent on the last podcast hasn't given
it's
me an
difficult.
opportunity to
Well, it
to
makes
weigh
GI
in.
Joburg seem like we love
Yes, man.
Scarlet most 100%. Best comic series ever in the world history time. Steven's not here, so don't ask his opinion. He loves it.
Yeah.
Stay away, Steven. Stay away, Steven.
So should we talk about A-Raw, boys?
Should we?
Should we? Let's do it.
Yeah,
do it.
Raw 309 came out this past week or so. And things are actually there's action in this issue. It's beautiful. There's like every other page,
Good
some cool
momentum.
action scene is happening. There's classic military jargon. I mean, there's lots of little like stars towards, you know, like
Charlie Mike, my
what does
dude.
AP mean? What does Winchester mean? And it feels more like a Hammer issue of GI Joe than I think the last 8 have been.
Oh yeah.
I think overall,
To be
I
fair,
enjoyed
last
it.
7.
Okay, last 7. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, things are actually. I mean, yes, it's a continuation of the previous one. So we're in Springfield. The mutants are attacking Springfield. Serpento's mutants, and yeah, we get to see a fun sequence, which is also tongue in cheek at the same time. I think this first part of the comic was actually a lot of fun, where you have the kind of the annoying tropes of the mutants kind of declaring what they are, you know, out loud.
Yeah.
But it still works because I've realized that happens in a lot of media and manga as well. Japanese comics, they often announce like, "This is my ability, and I have a weakness like this." And then you know the hero character's like, "You've just weakness out loud. This is amazing. I will use it against you right now, as you've explained how I will beat you." And it's less annoying because I know it is something that does exist beyond just the pages of this comic book.
Would you say that it's an old school approach, or is it just it's a valid modern approach, but like we've just been spoiled by books that are written like very filmically with, you know, show don't tell?
I think it's more of a classic comic book approach, and it's a way of storytelling that it's proven and it works. If you don't overdo it, I think in a lot of the previous issues you did find it being overdone, where each and every single issue it explains what's come before, but this is explaining in the moment, less than it is like this is all the stuff that's come before, and I'm telling you this information that you've heard before. Feels
to be particularly kind to that,
natural,
you've got the overarching need to bring everyone up to speed.
Yes,
because you got to treat every book like it could be someone's first.
Yeah, that's the way I've always approached comic books. But I think you can condense that information. You don't have to spread it across pages. You can kind of somehow condense it into less dialogue, summarize it better for people to catch up.
And I mean, once again, I'm playing not devil's advocate, what would be angel's advocate, to really kind of be supportive of this style of writing. The over-explaining of like technical jargon and using terms that like no soldier would say these things on the battlefield. But Larry gives it to us because he's educating the uneducated. Like if I was to look back at books that were absolutely formative to me of his, just just the amount of detail that he explained on the page. You know, how radar works, how stealth works, what millimeter size bullet, you know, an aircraft cannon would fire versus a handgun. Like just the stuff that he punctuates his pages with, which I find nauseatingly like plodding now. Like, you know, this is important stuff to us.
I know this
as
stuff.
we-
Why are you telling it to me again?
Well, yeah, you've got to. You kind of can't allow your old self to jade you against.
Yeah, no, but
all this
I
extra
still
detail.
appreciate the jargon. Like, I actually like it.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
likewise.
I do enjoy having it in there.
Good. Paul, do you like seeing Battle Armor Cobra Commander picked out in these pages?
I do actually.
Good.
I feel like it's fair for me to say that I quite enjoyed this issue, and I enjoyed Battle Armor doing something substantial and actually being kind of formidable. I thought that was pretty cool. I liked because it does sort of subvert your
expectations.
It subverts your expectations of what the suit is. Like sometimes people feel like it's just hulking, clunking armor, but it actually is. It makes him quite nimble and quite, sharp, and it's interesting. I mean, I'm saying him. I will reveal more as we go through the
spoilers!
the
Oh my
book.
goodness.
But
Yeah, it's a cool sequence. And it has a bit of humor in there as well. You know, where like the soldiers are like, he's doing such a good job, you know, and they're like, we've discovered your weakness, and then they blow the heads off after they kind of try to bomb Battle Armor Cobra Commander, and then the mutant dude's like running away, and Cobra Commander's like chasing after him. I love that little like silhouetted bit in one of the final panels.
Come back here.
Come back here.
Yeah. It's comedy.
It's great. It's fun, and yeah, and as the issue goes along, we catch up with all of the action that's going on in Springfield. So we get to see from the previous issue, we also had Zartan and Baroness being up in there. They get to do a little bit of action with one of the Thunder Machine. He does refer to it as the Thunder Machine. He's like, get that Thunder Machine. I think he says, which kind of makes it feel like it's, at least in this instance, there's maybe more than one Thunder Machine.
Yeah,
I know we've kind of often argued that there is
not
only
conclusively. I mean, it is like a turn of phrase if it's a singular thing. Get that, like, get your head out of your rear. Get that Thunder Machine out of here. Like,
get that gun out of there. Yeah, or like, get that bowl of chips. I mean, but like, I don't know. To me, at least, maybe this is me over analyzing it. But I mean, I was just, because we always talk about, like, is the Thunder Machine a singular or is it one of many? In this instance,
you see
it feels
two
like it's one of many
within a frame, I'm gonna not be convinced that it's an army builder.
Okay, so maybe it's
two of them side by side.
It's my conspiracy theory. I'm put my tinfoil hat on. I was like, oh, this proves that there's more than one.
Okay, straw poll. We've got 16 eyes on us at least, and possibly more in the comments below. If you think the Thunder Machine is one of many, there are multiple Thunder Machines, and Thrasher just takes number 5 out for a spin, or number 7, or whatever.
Yeah, it's just his tank, essentially, Okay. Or is there one? Is there singular builds on it? Because we've discussed this a lot, especially I think over the last 2 years. I feel like we
have actually.
And the machine has been brought up a lot
don't
more.
They take 2 out for a spin at once, or 3? It's the big
because
hole
they
in
don't have that many people in their group, and they have.
Okay, let me rephrase.
Wow.
If anyone thinks that there are multiple Thunder Machines, please sing out in the comments. Please
let us know that you agree with that theory.
Stand
Not that I'm saying I'm on one side or the other. I'm just saying I think this, at least in a way, and this is me twisting his words. But anyway, and like, this little sequence is cool. I think it's neat that they kind of like, you get to see the Thunder Machine doing something.
Shot.
Or that Thunder Machine doing something.
I love that shot of the Thunder Machine like bursting out of the page there. In this book, and everybody hanging on. It's a bit. I mean, I know it's designed to be that way, but it's a bit toyetic, and I appreciated that.
Paul, what do you have to say about the art of the books currently?
I'm happy with the art. That's one thing I've never had an issue with in these books, personally. Is
Hundreds. Yeah.
I've been happy with the art. It's the writing that I've had an issue with. Like, and in fact, actually, if anything, the art has motivated my irritation with the writing because we've had such great artists on this book who have been made to do talking heads, which is like silly. I would have.
It's a waste.
I mean,
It's a
it is
waste
a
of their
waste.
talents. Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
Pelletier. Chris
Yes.
Minihan has left and has not returned.
But he will be returning. I believe
is-
issue
Oh, really?
311 or 312.
Then I eat my words.
regular.
I
Well, he
thought to
hasn't
myself,
returned
he's
yet.
run for the hills. I thought to myself, he's had enough of like dealing with the
How many
deadline.
more copy paste heads must I do? Oh, dealing with the deadline.
I mean, maybe things have improved under Skybound, but it was my understanding that in the IDW days, like, there were delays, and it happened.
But
at
these
the
feel
top.
like they come out on time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has. I mean, in the most recent image previews, they have I think issue 311 or 312. Chris Mooneyham will be back. So I
Cool.
think, yeah, Paul Pelletier, maybe not a fill-in artist, but he is doing this sequence or the story arc, as it were, of the kind of like attack on Springfield.
It is nice to give them a break because these books are heavy.
Yeah, for
They're very
sure.
detail heavy.
I prefer it if you have artists have a break and you have another artist come in and do a consistent series of issues, rather than like one artist does one issue, another artist does another issue. It can be very disruptive in your enjoyment of the story as it goes along.
Yeah,
like if you just have one artist on a series forever, that's great. But I think in this day and age that can't be possible. So that's why it's better to do story arcs. So like one guy does an entire story and then the other guy comes back. I think it makes for more consistent storytelling.
In this case, it feels more like they've gotten different artists to do different story beats. Which is it's just I think my irritation here comes from, and this is by no means to sort of devalue Paul Pelletier, but like Andy Kubert
does
like his work is amazing, and he brings this like energy to those pages, as does Chris Mooneyham, and like again that energy, it just feels so wasted on like RPG talking heads. So
which is why this issue is so good.
Yeah, that's why I want to see more of that.
All the action. That's
I like the girl to move on.
I got a pop-up getting in our way.
Oh my goodness. Well, we can just talk about this for the rest of the thing.
I wanted to talk about Road Pig and the fact that like he doesn't seem to switch between his personas as much as he did in the Marvel run.
It's not Donald anymore. And
well, does he? I mean,
Donald. He's entirely Donald.
Well, you could say that.
I meant it the other way.
Well, in this little sequence, he's definitely his more eloquent version. But you could argue that when he speaks again after this page, he's like, "Come on," or "Let's go," or something like that. Could be that part of him coming back again.
It used to be italicized.
Oh, there was actually
it had a different, slightly different penmanship,
like different lettering to his words.
Yes, when he spoke as Donald, it was more rounded. I think they used lowercase because obviously, comic book lettering is all caps just to keep it. It's a classic holdover from when it was ink on paper. That I believe all caps would keep the letters from closing up. Like you wouldn't get things filled in with ink.
They're more distinct, I think, as well.
It's better with everybody shouting at each other, to be fair.
But I think when Road Pig spoke as Donald, his more eloquent persona, it was lower and uppercase.
Well, it's only the first time we've seen him speak. I mean,
but this was a peeve that I had during the IDW run, where I was like always constantly pointing out that like it seems Larry had dropped the personality switching. And I can't remember if Road Pig was being played as a brute or if he was being played as his eloquent self. I seem to remember he was just muscle. He was just a dumbass. Page to page, panel to panel. So this is reintroducing his Donald persona. But once again, we're not getting the switch, which was something
Let's
they
hope
did, like
Diana gets on that.
immediately.
Yeah.
What was that, Paul?
Yeah. I hope Diana gets on that.
Oh,
Um,
Oh yes, the research assistant. Yes.
might not be
Yeah,
something
like-
worth bothering Larry about. I mean, I'm
Well,
sure he
it makes for a
knows.
nice juxtaposition in the moment. You know, this kind of huge hulking man, but he talks like a Shakespearean actor. I suppose that's.
But
more
that's what always
interesting
made him
in
like
the
interesting
moment.
from the comic book. It's like when you see him as an action figure, you're just like, oh, okay, he's a big brute and blah blah blah. But when you experience him in the comic book, you're like, oh my word, this is like so left
Jekyll and
field. This is
Hyde.
great. Yeah, I love that. I think that's a serious waste of a cool character like concept, personally.
Well,
Yeah.
if he doesn't have much of a chance to explore him here. I mean, it's literally in the middle of an action sequence. So I mean, he does. You get a little bit of him here, so you get the sense of that version of him, but there isn't enough, I think, to form a proper opinion of whether or not he is using one personality or another, or he doesn't remember that was established as a thing at one point.
On the topic of the
Okay.
Thunder Machine, we got some responses. Alan believes that it is singular, but Thunder Machine has snuck in and
Soundwave,
has made a copy, has made himself into a copy. So clearly Alan has the Transformers GI Joe crossover set. Maline
sure.
says that it started out as a singular vehicle and it works its way into regular rotation, like Triple T's. Nice. So Sarge and his
That kinda
Renegades
makes
would have a motor pool of Triple T's. The Dreadnoks have many Thunder Machines.
Thunder Machines. Yeah, that all makes sense to me. Well, those are good reasons. So other than the Dreadnoks, we also have the Joes in Springfield, and their whole subplot is. Oh wait, Darren Cobb says Thrasher has multiple chassis, at least, if not several, mostly made Thunder Machines ready to roll out to replace the last one trashed.
Smart. I mean,
yeah, that's a good
petrolhead doesn't
middle
have
ground.
like a whole boneyard of vehicles on their property?
The poor ones. The poor ones don't have lots of stuff.
But
It's
if you
just get expensive, guys. We spoke about this on our Thunder Machine.
for sure.
focus
Yeah,
episode,
big
like,
time,
jet
bro.
engine is
Source
not cheap.
Pontiac, like hoods.
Yeah, and the jet engines. I mean, those probably not lying around. There's probably only so many of those left over by this point in time as well.
Dude, the Dreadnoks are on Craigslist all the time looking for, like, car wrecks. They're stealing them. They're winning them in races. Like, I think there's a whole Dreadnought subplot about, like, winning these cars.
They have a particular interest in constantly raiding like Air Force bases. That's something that happened in quick succession back in the classic run.
Yeah.
Anywho, guys, the GI Joe like ninja team consisting of Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes, Dawn Moreno, Jinx, and Scarlet are making their way through Springfield as well.
Yes.
The major plot point to be taken out of this is that Dawn confronts the cop who opened fire on her parents. Supposedly,
yeah, he feels the need to reveal that information.
confess.
It's time to have our HBO TV series moment.
It's unprecedented. I mean, it's what is it? Unprompted. Like Dawn just walks up to him, and she's fully masked. All that's is visible are her lips, really. And he's like, "You're Dawn Moreno. I shot your parents. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Your mother was reaching for the glove compartment." It's like, wow, dude, slow down. Like,
Feel too much.
there's no need to incriminate yourself. But the cliffhanger moment is that he's trapped in a cop car and it's on fire, and of course there's battles breaking out all over the place. So it's a highly dangerous situation. The ninja team are forced to withdraw because they're about to be overrun by the fighting. But Dawn makes her way back, and is she going to kill this guy or is she going to save him? We don't know.
Yeah, is she going to let him burn in the fire, or is she going to help him?
Oh, God, guys. Is it
Storm
really
Shadow...
a cliffhanger moment?
Well, yeah,
I mean,
also Storm Shadow argues against her doing this. And then I think, even though Scarlet's not saying it explicitly, she's like, we have to go now. Let's not worry about this, essentially. It's like, let fate deal with him.
She's like, let God sort it out.
Essentially, that's the subtext there that I'm getting from Scarlet. Like, Storm Shadow explicitly says, don't kill him, on purpose.
I've been down that road before.
Yeah,
It's
been down the road.
By
I think it
accident.
seems like he wants to help to get the guy out, or he's leaving it to Dawn to make that decision. But then they are forced to leave, and then it's like Scarlet is like, okay, fate has decided we have to leave. This guy's going to burn to death. There's nothing we can do
Paul,
about
do you
it.
believe that Dawn's going to save him in the next issue? Do you believe
Dude,
it's a foregone conclusion?
I feel like it's going to be. Yeah, I feel like it is because it's that typical HBO TV series moment of, oh, here's the cop that was like racist or speciest or wokest or whatever the hell it is, and now he's treated you so bad, and now you have the button that can spare his life, and like, oh no, don't be as bad as he is. Teach us the moral lesson. Yeah, dude, she's gonna save him.
It has occurred to me only in this moment right now that maybe not. Maybe Lara's going to play it the other way.
She could just let him
There are
die. I mean,
way
he
too
does.
many Snake Eyeses on the good guy team. If she
Yeah,
started
we
down
need
the
one on the
dark
Cobra
path
team.
and became a Sith Lord,
Ooh.
she kills she revenges on this cop for slaying her parents, and that sends her back to being a baddie. I don't know. Is that even on the cards? She's fully Arashikage now, but I just think to myself, okay, G.I. Joe's got Storm Shadow. They've got 2 Snake Eyeses and Dawn, who has Snake Eyes' training and memories. Scarlet, Jinx, etc. Who's Cobra got? Slice and Dice?
Yeah.
I haven't seen them for
do
dust.
they even? We haven't seen them in a while.
Oh, they got the whole blue ninja thing, and they'll be fine.
Oh yeah, I forget about those guys. They're all mutants
Oh,
now.
the revenge guys. Yeah, they have their blue ninjas. That's true. They're mutant ninja dudes.
Subplot we
But I
haven't
mean,
spoken
it's
about.
still. But yeah, before we leave this, I think it was. I did enjoy this kind of like subplot because it kind of brings us back to like, did her parents die? Actually, this confirms that they did definitely die. And it makes it's a break from all the action. Like, I mean, yes, I've been complaining for the last 7 issues. There's no action, but it kind of balances the issue out a little bit better, where you have all the action, but then you have an action of a different sort, where this dilemma is thrust upon Dawn in this moment of having returned to Springfield. So yes, maybe it is a little bit melodramatic, but I did appreciate this in that she has to make this choice for herself to save or allow this man to die. I liked it. I thought it was kind of cool.
I think she should go to the bad.
Oh, she just like stab him through. Oh, actually, no. What is the worst thing she could do is just watch him die. I mean, her killing him is what he wants, essentially. It's like,
can we just talk about how like useless Snake Eyes is that he can't open a freaking door? Like, we've got this whole issue where this man pulls off amazing feats, miraculous feats almost, and he can't open a cop car that's been like jammed together because it's been in a car accident. Exactly.
Like,
which on the list of difficulty in this book of GI Joe is not a very, very high thing. It's not a difficult thing. I don't know, for that team.
No, for sure, but they do. I feel like they establish the stakes. They feel like the urgency of like they're trying, but at the same time, it's like things are going down. They're more focused on what's going on around them rather than saving or not saving this guy, because he is a police officer in Springfield. He is a Cobra operative.
Can you guys remind me what the ninjas are doing in Springfield? Are they just...
They're reconning. They're going
to
check out.
So they're not necessarily fighting on either side.
No,
like, everyone is an open target.
Watching. Yeah.
Serpental Khan's cyborgs are their enemies, and so are Cobra Commander's forces,
Cobra.
And so are the Dreadnoks. Oof.
Because they didn't go there because the fight occurred as they were on their way there. So like when the initial thing was, obviously Springfield was peaceful and they were going there just to recon like what else is going on in Springfield. And then this entire situation was thrust upon them as they're in the middle of it.
Meanwhile, back on Cobra Island, Helix, Muskrat, etc., they are making off with...
They're absconding with the original Serpentor's body.
The original Serpentor's body in an icebox. But the original Serpentor was already resurrected in Era, in the IDW run.
Yeah.
It was G.I. Joe that were holding him at the pit. And that storyline concluded with the death of Snake Eyes. He did the sacrifice play to kill him and Serpentor. Then who is this? Who is
Well,
on
it must
Ice
be.
on Cobra
Well, I
Island?
mean, Darren agrees with you. He's like, can we talk about how the body of Serpentor is still in one piece with the arrow still in the eye, despite Firefly stating how he damaged the body and face when he escaped the freighter? So
Well,
it's not something we're picking up on. It's a lot of other people are picking up on this. It's just like so the body has. I mean, So you're saying he was resurrected and then he died again. So this couldn't possibly be that exact same body, unless.
and
when
Darren's saying that even earlier in, I assume, the Marvel run, Firefly desecrated the body of
that happened
Serpentor.
before that. Yeah, so they ignored that for the IDW run, and then now they're ignoring this for this run.
The escape clause that our favorite GI Joe scribe used so many times, that the entire run is a giant retcon.
Yeah, things
Sometimes
are going
it's
down.
best not
Or
to have
as
a long memory for this sort of stuff.
was Robert Klupertan saying, well, we can say there are lots of clone bodies, and
With the arrow stuck in.
I guess they just mutilated the bodies, to confuse people, maybe. I don't
Look,
know.
I enjoy picking out these little faux pas, but it's nothing new for GI Joe. There are lovely little errors, like ever since the concept of the no prize was ushered into Marvel, like readers have been tasked with picking up these foibles and trying to explain them away. So I guess my question to the both of you is, how do we explain this one away? Clone bodies? I think Rob just handed us our silver bullets.
Well, me and what Rob said. I think so, or just whatever works in the moment. Essentially, it's kind of like is what matters. Like if you're overthinking the continuity, then you're thinking too hard about it. Possibly.
The Serpentor that got the arrow in the eye originally was a body decoy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So that was like a fake out. I mean, already Mindbender had replaced him back then. He put the little another version of him. He stabbed the arrow in there. After
Serpentor's very first battle, it was established that this guy is way too gung-ho to like be with the troops on the field of battle. Like, no, Serpentor, you got shot through the shoulder, mate. I don't care how you cauterized it like a stud with a burning hot blade. Like, you stay far away from the battle. You are our emperor.
Get out of here.
Okay? So I guess Mindbender was like, from now on, if you want to show face on the battlefield, use this body double.
So then the body double was killed.
The body double was killed. So that was the version that went off to the Joes and was kept at the pit.
And
was
then
never Serpentor. This is the
I'll
real
buy
Serpentor.
that.
Okay,
then
cool.
how did this one die?
Well, how it could have worked is that this one was shot by the arrow, but then Mindbender replaced the body in the freighter with a similar version where he actually did the injury himself to it.
Oh, nice.
So that clone body is from the freighter, I suppose, is the one that went to the IDW GI Joes.
Freaking cold case file closed, boy. I've been watching a lot of Law and Order these days with the wifey while we wait for baby number 2 to arrive.
Oh, well, you have a lot of seasons to go through, so you're probably okay. You can wait
so funny, man. I'm listening to the soundtrack and thinking to myself, I used to endlessly hear this coming from the lounge while I was in my room. I was like, my parents are watching Law and Order again. I don't want no part of that.
Oh gosh,
I have become my parents.
Law case. Isn't that wild? Now you're
watching I'd rather be on my carpet playing my Joes in my room than watching Law and Order with the folks. Now I'm it. Now
you
I'm
are the one, yeah.
I got my parents into Law and Order.
Wow,
it's good.
So I used to watch it quite a bit. I like Law and Order personally.
But
boys, is there anything else you'd like to raise on this issue? It seems like you enjoyed it more than previous ones, Rob.
I think so. I just like that things are happening, Like, I feel like the previous whole bunch of issues could have been done maybe in 2 or 3 issues, and this would be part 4 of a story.
It's been so
it's
labored.
just nice that things are happening. That as I'm reading it, like there's stuff going down, and even though like Paul thinks it's very melodramatic in HBO, I don't know, or CW, the whole drama for Dawn, I just like that that's in there. You know, that there are multiple threads going on, and it's kind of to a degree, it's got my interest in each of these stories going forward, and I really appreciated that. I think it's really cool that stuff is happening in this issue. Like if something happens,
Oh,
I'm
shit,
very
dude. Like,
Yeah.
don't let me like ruin your enjoyment of it. If you
No,
think it's
not
cool,
at
that's
all.
on you, man.
I
Thank you,
think
man.
I
Yeah.
think it's cool, you know, and I think it's cool that you have your own opinion too. So why not? Yeah, you're not
Guys, we
ruining my enjoyment.
finally get an acknowledgement of the changed physiology of the mutants actually having an effect on, like, you know, their human interactions. By that I mean Mindbender is a captive of Helix and the Insertion Joe team on Cobra Island. They're obviously taking him at gunpoint along with the remains of Serpentor, original Serpentor. And he says to Helix, "I'm going to eat your brains." Mindbender says that. And it's like, okay, finally, an acknowledgement that these guys
going
aren't
to eat
human.
your brains.
They do eat, they do consume the flesh of other people. Like,
Yeah, that's
is
part
that
of
a
their diet.
genuine threat, you think?
Or maybe he's just saying that because that's what he thinks she wants to hear. It's
He's
like,
just
I
hamming
am
it
a
up.
mutant now, so of course a mutant will say something like this. I'm not just going to kill you, I will eat your brains. Unless he really means it.
Well, which do you think, if you were to guess?
I think he's actually making that whole. I think he's being for real.
Oh,
I
he's
think
for
it's
real.
not so much that he's threatening her. I think it's more a case of like he's irritated. So that's what he's saying. That's like he's exalting himself. He's kind of going, "I'm going to eat your brains." He's like trying to like use like silly, stupid person. Like he's just being insulting, and he's gonna do it. He's like, "Yes, I want to eat your brains." Like I think he does want to eat humans.
Yeah, he really
And-
wants to eat those
I
brains.
go the other way. I think he's hamming it up. He's like, he just wants to kind of. It's a jump scare, but not an intended one.
Yeah,
It's like,
because he's
"Ooh."
like, you won't get away with this. I'm going to eat your brains. So, yeah, so I suppose that could be hammed up, you know.
Yeah.
It's a strange passage, but it does have one of my favorite lines that Muskrat says, because they're riding on the back of like a Stinger 4-wheel drive, and they're getting swatted by like foliage, and he's like, "I'm getting flogged by the flora and fauna in my face." Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but like, I find that a fun turn of phrase.
That's fine and dandy if you've
Flogged.
got a whole windshield to keep the flora from flogging your faces.
There you go. Thank you. It's a good one.
I just think
Yeah, I
it's
didn't
cool
mind
seeing
this issue,
Muskrat.
but
Yeah.
Or
prefer
maybe
reading Tom
Darren's
Shirley.
right. He is flirting. Mindbender's flirting. It's just been a while and he's out of practice.
Hmm. Stinky.
Yeah, so
Consuming your
great fun
Abdullah
overall. It
Oblongata.
makes me want to read the next one. I'm excited to see. I'm optimistic about what comes next. I wouldn't say excited, but I enjoyed this issue.
Nice.
I think it was
I'm
cool.
surprised nobody mentioned Cobra Commander.
Oh, the twist.
And he's-
Well, I mean,
And
okay,
he's
yeah. So it turns
exposed.
out,
Yeah, the whole twist there. I thought that was quite. I actually really liked that. I thought that was quite cool.
yeah. So he was never out there. Of course, he's not going to go out there. This version of Cobra Commander. He sends out someone else to kind of be his spearhead, which is smart. I mean, he kind of lets someone else maybe with better battle progress or battle progress. What am I trying to say? Battle
Prowess
prowess than he does. But he still uses it to his advantage. He acts as if it is him out there. But when he's not wearing that, he kind of just dresses in his original, his old disguise. But there is at least, one other person in the organization that knows, so that they can kind of relay his commands to other people. Yeah,
They
it was a
just
cool
dropped the
little twist.
breadcrumbs by putting it in the battle armor to begin with. Because, if you're a long-time GI Joe fan, that battle armor is kind of coded to being
Yeah,
not
he's hardly
Cobra
ever worn
Commander.
it. Yeah.
Not the real Cobra Commander, anyway.
It's a
Freddy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Freddy 999.
I like that. I thought that was fun. That was like a cool little bait and switch. It was a nice little surprise in the moment, and
Darren's a fan of unmasked Cobra Commander still having his
His
tash.
moustache, yeah.
Do you guys
Yes,
like his
and the
It's
presentation?
a
sword,
really good
yeah.
callback to those issues where he did kind of dress up like that. And yeah,
Oh, did you think the
appreciated.
tash was a stick-on? We spoke about
I
this
always
once.
thought it was a stick-on. I thought it was part of the disguise that he wore. I didn't think it was his actual moustache. I always assumed it was part of the disguise. You know, he kind of just put that entire get-up again on now.
Yeah,
So
the
that's
necktie, the duster,
It's
the
literally the
tash,
entire outfit. It's like, you know, they went back and did that issue.
Yeah, the beret is an interesting touch.
It's a weird look. But hey, it's kind of it's suitably nefarious. I mean, he's got like long sideburns, a ponytail, very arched
it's
eyebrows.
scary. But I mean, it's the look that they had established back in the 80s, you know, for when he is in disguise but out of his costume. But it's still a layer. I don't think this is what he looks like. I don't know. I always thought of it as another disguise.
Yeah, same. Like, I don't want to accept that that's how he looks either.
Oh, no way. It's too weird.
No.
It's too strange.
don't
He
know.
walks
It is.
around looking like that.
I kind of like it.
Oh, there are people.
Well, Darren feels very strongly about the moustache. No, the stash is real. How dare
Cool.
you question it, Rob?
And then Darren's gonna turn around and also be like, "I look like that. How dare you insult my look?" No, I'm kidding, Darren. But yeah, I
That's just the way I see it. I
was
mean, maybe
surprised.
he does have the moustache, but it never peeks out under the hood. You know, I've never seen that peeking out of the hood in any issues. Although now he wears the faceplate, but I mean that must be very uncomfortable to have that. I mean, what do you do with those long pieces in a helmet? Do you kind of like tie them up underneath your nose? Just kind of like stick them down like they're, I don't know, really weird.
Yeah, dude, no joke, man.
Sideburns. How does he do it?
Like having a
Yeah,
helmet.
Rob, how do
and,
you
like,
wear a
long
hat with
hair
the
or, like-
hair on your head? It just, it just goes flat against the wall.
No, but it doesn't feel comfortable. Like it's just like pressed up against your face. I don't know. And it's like tickling your neck the whole time, and like you're in the middle of something, and you're like kind of like.
Well, I'm gonna
Straight
demand that
at
from the
it.
next cosplay I see. I want them to grow out those fine follicles
You want to see those under there. It's only accurate unless they have.
and get a full report on what it's like to wear that
So-
underneath the mask.
So, as the person
Well, you
who's
could pull
probably
off
been-
a Cobra Commander look, I'd say. You get the same kind of like tash growth.
You're talking
It's
about
Paul.
Rob or me? Yeah,
Paul.
I could totally.
Oh,
I'm-
you could
I
do it
could
actually. Yeah, because
totally do that,
my
guy.
stuff
Yeah.
does not grow long. So if you just keep growing it,
Yeah,
if
I
it doesn't
could
work,
go
out, you
for
just
the-
cut some of the hair. You know, some of your long hair. And just stick it to your face.
I comment I'm not
Anyway,
going to
just get away
shake.
from the
Yeah,
follicles.
that Jimmy
James,
made at me. I had a good laugh at. It relates to that. But anyway, I'll save that. Maybe one day I'll utter that in the podcast.
Maybe share it
or
one day.
Jimmy will say it in the chats. But as somebody who's been quite outspoken about how much I dislike this book, I've got to say this is the first time where I've actually looked like opened it up or cracked it open and gone, okay, I'm having fun. This is
Pretty
this
cool.
is cool. And I hate to be like the guy that's like, oh, I'm having fun now because the book is like biff paff pow, kind of action. But when you've had like literally 7 issues of people standing and meandering and doing shit all, the action book does stand out as being the fun
Yeah,
one.
it
And-
really gets you going. It gets you
but
excited.
I also enjoyed characters speaking to each other, and not necessarily about each other or near each other, like characters speaking to each other, like do this thing, do that thing, dodge this, don't kill that cop, kill the cop. I don't know, it's bad. Whatever, move along. Like it just felt like the story felt like, oh, this is happening.
It
because
felt like a
this is-
complete issue in itself. Like it was an issue you could read and enjoy it. Stephen, do you think Darren is wrong here?
Darren asks or says in the chats that technically we know what Cobra Commander looks like, as the Fred series were all supposed to have surgery to look exactly like him. I don't know if I agree with that, Darren. I don't think the Fred series were designed to look like Cobra Commander. They were designed to look like one another. but maybe that would be
That
a
would
bit of
be. I mean,
a
I
too
have
much of a
no
breach of
dog in this
security
race.
for
Right.
Cobra Commander to look like his underlings.
Or for them to look like him, because then that kind of defeats the point of him.
I think that
disguising
might be a
himself.
confusion that you're having with Fred 7 stepping into Cobra Commander's position. Like, he wouldn't have needed to be in the battle helmet if he indeed looked like the real Cobra Commander. But when he takes off that battle helmet in front of Baroness, she's immediately onto him. She's like, well, the jig is up now.
Well, because he
But
looks
we can
maybe
play
because
this
he
to
looks
our
like a
advantage.
younger Fred. I mean, he looks like a younger version of Cobra Commander because they're not made to look
Baroness would
exactly
know
like-
what Cobra Commander looks like.
Yeah, but then she's
Yanks-
like, you look like him, but you're too young to be him.
Well,
I don't know.
no, I think yeah, Darren, you're normally impeccable, but on this point, I think you've
Well, maybe people in the
misspoke.
comments will let us know. Like, there's a specific issue where it's like they say it out loud. But before we move on,
Speculation time.
oh yes, this is what I was about to mention.
Good.
So for Ben,
Ben Flying Retro, hello Ben. Would like to know how many issues do you think we'll get out of this Skybound run?
I think it'll
That's-
just keep going until they don't want to publish it anymore, because it feels like having a legacy, the legacy GI Joe, a real American comic series alongside your own, is a positive thing. You know, to have Larry kind of be there and writing these issues forever, essentially. So I think they'll keep going until he feels he can't write them anymore. That's in my opinion. Like it's in their interest to keep him writing it forever, essentially.
In perpetuity.
That's what I think, you know. And the way that these issues are written, whether good or bad, it feels like you could write them forever. So that's where I'm coming from. You guys, Paul, what do you think? Do you think this is there an end point to the series?
Geez, it's difficult to say because it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like this is the final conclusion. It doesn't feel like it's going to end in the next like 5 issues. I feel like maybe after this we'll get another arc. But I think, I don't know. Let's hazard a guess. Maybe we might get 30 or 50 issues out of this whole run. I say that not because I say that because Larry Hama is old, and at some point he may want to retire from this or from writing comic books, or maybe he might not be able to write comic books anymore. And I think he's got a good 30 or 50 in him still. And
So
that's a
that
lot,
makes
actually.
it about
So,
5 years, approximately.
probably, yeah.
Like 12 issues a year.
If the book can keep its momentum, if it can be as popular, if it can stay relevant, yeah, then I think it's got about another good 5 years or so.
Okay.
I think anyway. Provided
Steven,
nobody
what
does
do you
anything too stupid in the world stage. Yeah, sorry, Steve. Yeah.
I have diverted my attention to reading issue 98 of the comic book because Darren's rocking my world, man.
Ooh.
There's apparently some information that proves his point. But let me read his comment out to everyone who's had their head scratching. Yeah, okay, page 9, issue 98. That's where I think it is from, says Darren. Look, I'm not going to labor this point any further, man. If it's setting off alarm bells in your head, you must be onto something. But I'm just trying to work out the logic of it. I mean, it's pretty shaky logic. The whole idea behind the Crimson Guards Fred series all having the same face, like, if one of those guys has a criminal record, all of a sudden the whole network is down. So that's always been a big plot hole in that idea. I've never understood that concept. But then for them to go one step further and being copies of the Cobra Commander's face, let's just say this point will be continued at a later stage. But I'll read that comic in more detail. How long? I stick with you, Rob, on the point of Skybound continuing this comic book run for history's sake until Larry wants to set it down. If this is his book,
which it seems to be, they're letting him write it the way that he wants to write it. It's separate. It's its own continuity. It's separate from the continuity that they're telling in their Energon universe. So it feels like you could keep it going forever.
Yeah, like I said, about 50 books, 30 to 50 books.
That's not forever,
it-
Paul.
Oh,
That's
for Larry Hama, it might be. Not to be like crude or anything. I mean, the guy's also got a life, you know. Yeah.
Oh no,
But
for
anyway,
sure.
we'll see.
I mean,
Yeah.
his job is he's a comic book writer and artist. It's I don't know, it's his job. But yeah, I suppose keep going till retirement age, whenever he feels like you. But I feel like you could keep writing this forever, and I like having him around. So before we head out the door, I will share the issue or the page that Darren is referring to. So in this issue, Cobra Commander is revealed to having returned to life. Everyone is very surprised because they're like, "Oh, Raptor says I buried you," and you get the reveal of all of the Fred series characters behind him. And it's revealed how one of the Freds, his best friend Fred 8, comes along and took him out of the grave, and together the Freds work together to get Cobra Commander to a doctor who would help fix him. And you can see in this page where you kind of see Cobra Commander's unmasked face. It's partially
MD
covered with
Bright artwork. Rest in peace, buddy.
partially covered with hair in one panel. In another panel, you very clearly see his face. It is definitely the same as Fred's. And to kind of like ram the confirmation of this thing home, you actually get to see him being operated on by a doctor, and it is very clearly his face.
Yeah, but Mark Bright only drew one kind of face. Whether it's Tony Stark or Cobra Commander. Yeah. I'm just kidding. I'm trolling.
No, but at the same time, I think your point also stands. It makes logically, it makes no sense why you would go to such efforts to hide your own face, but then have the faces of all your CGs altered to look like yours.
It's so baffling.
It's weird. But
cocaine in the 80s.
What happened? Sometimes logic goes out the window when you're writing stories. So at least according to this issue, he is identical to the Fred series. They were made to look like him. But then that's why I'm thinking then, to help this make sense, is the Baroness knows what he looks like, but he is perhaps a slightly older version of them. Although from these panels, they all look exactly the same. So I don't know how to...
But it's only borne out by the art. I don't think the writing necessarily supports the point. Anyway, Darren, let's have this conversation.
I would agree with you.
I'll have this conversation with you, my friend. But it's perhaps an interesting point for all those very well-studied GI Joe fans out there to examine issue 98.
Yeah, and hopefully in episode 343 we can have a definitive conclusion to this. I'm very interested to see where this.
And now for something completely ridiculous.
Let's have it.
Which GI Joe or Cobra does not should not be in the Ninja Force team?
Well, who knows? Who knows what's going to go down?
No, tell me your thoughts. Who do you think should not be, like, who has no business being in Ninja Force? At the very same time,
they're all ninjas, though. I mean, I feel like they all deserve to be on there. Maybe the woman.
Well, I'm going to get sarcastic and say Road Pig, but they were going to do it.
Thank you.
In the Ninja Commandos.
Steve got it. Let me rephrase it. Who is not in the Ninja Force team yet that should be, but actually has no business in being in that team?
Oh, who hasn't been on the team, but
yes,
it should be on the team, but at the same time has no business being on the team. Is that where we're going?
Yes.
Here?
So use 90s action figure logic here.
I want a Ninja Scoop.
I knew you were going to say Ninja Scoop,
camera,
but I was.
The camera comes apart, and you can kind of like throw the lenses like shurikens and stuff. It kind of comes apart to be like cool weapons and stuff.
Thankfully, surprisingly, I was expecting you to say Ninja Scoop.
How cool would that be?
And I actually think in news reports it makes for a very good ninja plant, by the way. I'm just saying.
And his costume would be, the coloring of his costume would be it's similar in a way to Scarlet's ninja outfit, the green and the yellow. It is green and yellow, isn't it? Her Ninja Force outfit. Yeah. So you
Yeah,
can
So
kind
it's
of
not a mustard yellow, it's more of a chick.
yeah,
baby
like a
chicken.
chick yellow.
it's neon
Chick
yellow.
You know, it's the chick yellow.
Well,
I think yeah,
Hasbro,
scoop for sure.
Hasbro seemed to want to insist that you could have Road Pig, Flint, and
Very
Budo
cool.
as ninja.
Hell yeah. Budo is a
Um,
ninja? Come on.
but fortunately, they never got around to that. That was the
Nah.
cancelled 1995 Ninja.
Dr. Mindbender. There we go. There's a good one. Dr. Mindbender the ninja. He finally incorporated the brainwaves of the skills of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow
It's
into
so
his
funny
brain.
you say that.
Now he's a ninja.
I present to you
Oh, here we
Ninja Force Mindbender.
Please,
That
for the
is
listeners,
amazing.
describe your creation, Paul.
It
You've
is
been slaving away for.
Mindbender has grown himself a great rope of hair that pops out of the top of his head. He is no longer going bare-chested. He has rather opted for some kind of kimono-style kind of wrapping over him. Of course, it's replete with ninja stars. It's very similar to what you'll find Master Splinter or Shredder wearing. And he's got little spikes in his hair clip. I couldn't resist. I kept on thinking like I don't know what we were talking about. It was like a week or two ago, and I was like, oh my shit, Ninja Force Mindbender, that needs to happen.
That would be great.
Like what would that look like? What could that be like? Like he has no business being there. But if GI Joe was run by like Toy Biz, we would definitely get him. We would get like Mindbender, leader of the Ninja Force, you know. But,
well, Darren's already given him a name. Instead of Mindbender, he is now the Bent Master.
Ben Master. I sort of just check something
The
here on my
Bent
textures.
Master.
Anyway,
Bravo, Paul.
but yeah, shot guys.
A nice thumbnail for this podcast as well, in case anyone missed
we go.
it. It's a cool, like,
Spoilers.
zombified frag.
Oh, shame.
viper.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had fun with that. Like, that was fun.
And
like, was like,
Do not break.
hey, if I can draw like anything in like a really screwed up, like almost demonic look or like mutated look, I relish the opportunity, and that
Do
was
it.
one of those
Just keep doing
situations
it
where I was
over and
like,
over.
I would like to see my take on that, which was
Yeah,
quite cool
dude.
because it was actually prompted more by Steven's. I hadn't read the comic yet, so when I asked for a title for the episode, Steve
You were like, wait a
mentioned
minute.
zombie frag viper, something like that, and I was like, holy shit, that sounds like a cool idea. So I like started like messing around with some sketches, and then
My favorite
when we
rubbish. Yeah.
Mm.
Sorry.
oh no, then we put the episode up, you know, the premiere up. Well, Steve did, and then I was like, oh, actually, no, there is a zombie frag viper. That's actually like it actually
That's why
appears in
he
this issue.
said
It's not
it.
something that's just
My
like,
favorite.
you know, yeah.
Yeah, that he just invented out of his brain. My favorite was the Night Viper mutant. It makes no sense to me at all. It's just like, I'm a Night Viper mutant. I'm very silent and go through the night, but I'm a mutant now. Terrible. Terrible. But yeah, we've visited Springfield and we've had great times talking to Springfield Fieldlians.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know. What do you call yourself if you're from Springfield?
The
Springfielder?
Simpsons. I don't know.
Springfielder.
Springfielder, I
Springfielder.
guess. I guess you would say that.
I mean, there was a girls' school up the road called Springfield, but we just called them slappers.
Yo. Hey, there it
Yo.
is the
Yep.
zombie frag viper, mutant frag viper.
Well, the helmet of a frag viper is weird, freaky, bug-eye to begin with. But
It's
imagine
Yeah.
it having a maw, like actual, like toothy venom mouth, instead
It's
of just
gross.
Yeah.
a breathing apparatus.
Absolutely necessary.
Yeah, I wanted the idea to be that like the mutation was so extreme that it kind of
Tore the mask
bonded
open.
with the helmet in a weird
Oh.
way, and then also
Yeah.
tore apart to make space for the lower mandible. You know, so
Bravo, man.
Wild.
yeah, so that's why like the pipe is like hanging there on the side of the head, like
I
the
never
the
give
sort of
props to your thumbnails in the actual podcast. I wonder why that is.
Oh, shot.
Oh yeah, because you do them after the podcast is finished.
That's
But
true.
this one,
Yeah.
fucking good, man. Well done.
Thanks, man.
Thank
Appreciate
you, my
that.
friend. Thank you also to the live chats. It's been thriving on this fine evening for me, anyway.
Heck
Morning to
yeah, and we've
some.
left people with tons of questions. So wow,
Tons and tons.
comments are going to be crazy after this. Tell us about
Yep.
this and that and that and everything else. Just talk about it. Go crazy.
Time for
And of course,
Ninja
thank you
Mindbender Ninjistics.
to our patrons and YouTube channel members. I am currently doing a play motion which has me traipsing through rivers of shit.
Oh, that sounds
A
fantastic.
really smelly reservoir. Rob, you and I
Worth
had
it.
the pleasure of being in a beer-addled reservoir
Yeah,
for
that's
Atlantis Factor. Well, whatever
No, you
I'm in at the
actually-
moment smells like
Oh my
poop.
God.
I'm definitely washing my fingers after playing in there.
Are you in?
Ooh,
Are you in the
don't forget
stand?
to lick them first, though.
Or maybe it's just smelly water, man. It's maybe decaying
People
plant
in
matter, but it
Australian water just smells weird.
effluent.
That's why they tell people
Yum.
don't drink the
Like
tap
they're
water.
break dancers.
Anyway, my
Actually,
point is
no,
I'm
that's not
suffering
fair.
for my art right now, if you want to call it that. So if you are curious, jump on the YouTube channel membership program for what is it? $3 a month.
$100
check it
a
out.
month?
If you don't like it, cancel immediately, and you've only
Do
lost
it.
$3. But
Hell yeah.
it's fun. Week to week, I'm doing things,
Doing fun
Um,
times. Doing fun
and that's
times.
all she wrote.
341. Mutants attack Springfield. Frickin' frag viper. Attack time. Awesome. Amazing things.
Next
something,
week,
Eric.
another pre-record show, Toy Focus. We gonna do things a little bit differently next week. We are going to focus on a toy that none of us have. What? I thought the
That
whole
is
concept was
so weird.
focus on toys that all three of us have. Well, no, this is a toy that none of us have, but we have strong opinions on anyway. Are they hate? Are they love? Are they indifference? They're not that third one. Yojo?
Okay.
Berg.
Berg.
Thanks.